And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with a relatively new friend of mine, Brittany. Brittany, thanks for being on the podcast with me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. Brittany is a partner with a company out of Louisville, Kentucky, right? Louisville?
Yes.
I got
Home
that
of the
right.
Derby.
Yeah, that's awesome. And they work with, well, go figure, small business owners, right? And they really, I was intrigued when she and I first met because of the way they do things, the scope they have, the focus they have on working with really, I mean, as she and I were just talking, you can help anybody because we as business owners, we all struggle with the same things, but you guys have really niched down into service-based businesses. So think, plumber, electrician, heating, HVAC and things. But as we talk, what we're going to share today is applicable to every business owner because it's all the same. Marketing is marketing, right? So before we just dive deep into everything that you do, give us a snapshot, Brittany, of who you are and how did you get to do this?
Well, about 8 years ago is when I got into this business. So I was previously in retail and I was in management, but I loved marketing. It was the joy of my life. And so I tried to find the best way to get into this. And I found Dan, who's the owner of One Thing Marketing, and it was a startup at that point. But I was able to get into marketing, get to help people learn so many things that they do not teach you anywhere else in the real world.
That's
and
right.
So really learned all those things with it. And there's over time, we've grown our company. So previously it was just the two of us. So I did everything client related. So sales, management, all the fun things. Dan got to do all the technical side. So building the websites, doing SEO, doing all these little things for the guys that he could run the service side and I ran the client side with it. So we've grown now where we're a local team of 6. We have a few freelancers around the country to help us with some things, but really because we've grown, we're able to scale. So therefore we can actually focus our attention on the guys that we want to help the most. And not saying that no one deserves more attention than someone else, but we really feel like our trades guys have kind of been left in the dust. They're the ones that are driving trucks all day, kind of going back and forth to places and don't really have time to internally think about marketing processes, a lot of things of that nature, just because they're so emergency driven that when there's the need, when there's a storm, when there is the change in weather, they are busy. And so they really needed someone to they could lean on to really help them with marketing. So actually before even COVID started, we decided, hey, we're going to focus down this area. And then ironically enough, because we did that, it helped us a little bit grow as well, because during COVID, well, the honey to-do lists were the only thing growing.
That's
for
right.
One of us.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should mention that because not the to-do list, but the emergency aspect, because it's been raining here in Little Rock for about 2 days. And I got a phone call from a friend of mine who's a widow, and her basement was kind of seeping in water. And so she called the plumber and they're like, well, we can be there in about 4 hours, but it is that emergency situation that those trades people, they're on the road a lot. And what we find in working with clients, and I'm sure you do the same thing, is they weren't schooled in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They were schooled in plumbing or electrician or roofing or whatever. And so it's not their fault that they're not great at it, right? They're great at what they do. That's why they need to partner with somebody like you. So unpack a little bit about how do you help these tradesmen and women and help them really make the phones ring? What are some of the things you bring to the table for them?
Yeah. So really, when it comes down to how we're going to pack the biggest punch for our guys, it really comes down to Google. Because in the grand scheme, let's just say, Michael, if your roof is leaking, well, you're probably not going to go to Facebook and say, my roof's leaking. Can someone within the next 24 hours give me a referral? It's leaking. Your wife's still yelling at you. So you are going immediately to try to find someone to come to fix this. So a lot of times what it all comes down to, we go to the search engines, we pick up our phone, we type in roofer near me, roofer Little Rock, we're typing these words, we're finding a company, and then usually we're calling like the first 2 or 3 max, getting them to come get bids, and then just kind of completing our process as a buyer. So knowing that's how a client, a homeowner functions, well, the biggest thing we decided was let's put our guys in front of people where they're searching for it.
Yeah.
So everything we focus on is really kind of going down that avenue of it. So we really focus everything Google related. So that's your website. That is search engine optimization. That is local. That's your Google My Business listing. And there's also things like ads and different paid traffic elements of that. And that's really kind of where we hone in a lot of our marketing, because again, like social media, it's a great tool, but not always great for our guys, because if your
Right.
roof caved in, you're not going to Facebook. You might just share your news with everybody, but you need action quickly. So
Right.
you're going to take things into your own hand, and you're going to the search engines and finding someone right there. And so that was, at the end of the day, the best way to pack the biggest return on investment for our guys, because not that anybody can guarantee anybody with Google. And that's one tidbit I would love everybody to leave here with today is do not trust anybody that says that they can promise you guaranteed things within Google, because it's not how the system works with it. So that's where we want to do our time, where when all of our guys we did all the stats for, we loved it. We were able to give them a 400% ROI in their first year. And then every year they worked with us after that, improve them by 30%, which for some businesses may not seem big, but for a lot of guys starting off, that's an exponential growth every single year that you can really build a company on and really scale. And as a business owner, get to take a vacation.
That's right. Yeah.
Not have to work on it every single day because you're the team in place to do it now.
Yeah. Well, I love that, because you talked about ROI, which is the return on investment. So if I give you $1, I'm going to get $3 or $4 back over time. Right.
Mhm.
And then revenue growth or business growth of 30% a year. You do that year over year after year. In 3 years, you've doubled your business. The size of it, right? So, and that's a manageable growth, because if you get too much growth, you're going to die because
Yeah.
you don't have the infrastructure, right?
Yep.
I love how you niche down to Google. And a lot of people would probably, poo-poo that, but it's brilliant, because Google really is the phone book of old is what Google is today. Because when I was a kid, you weren't even born yet. We would have these things called phone books, right? And when we had something, we would go to the phone book, the yellow pages. And that's really what Google is. We go there, we're searching for a solution for a provider. And then you talked about the Google My Business and all these, because that adds the credibility, the local nature, the reviews, all of that. You start bringing that together, and it's like, oh yeah. And it just starts compounding when it's done right.
Yes.
So how do you help? What would it look like for a service business if somebody's out there? I've got a lot of we've done a lot of books for automotive repair shops.
Mhm.
So very similar, right? Who do I take my car to? Well, I'm Googling it to find out who's in my area, because usually your car shop is within 10 or 15 miles of your house or your office, usually.
Mhm.
How do you help somebody like that? What are they struggling with many times? Is it just making the phone ring, or is it all the shiny objects? What do you find?
I would say it's a good mixture. So yes, the problem with marketing today is there are so many new things coming out that everybody wants to chase the next big thing. So there is a little bit of problem within that. If anyone who's advantageous, they're going for it, which I applaud you for trying to do something in marketing. But the biggest thing when it comes to marketing is consistency. So actually doing what you said you're going to do and doing it consistently, because even TikTok, there are some people that have just gone viral off of it. Their lives have changed, their businesses have changed, everything, which is great. But the biggest thing that anyone interviewed on any of these platforms says is even when that moment happened, they still had to be consistent with what they were doing to make sure that was actually transcending time and not just a one pivotal viral moment in their life, but something they could keep growing with. But really what it comes down to is they just don't have the time to figure out what's not making their phones ring. And that's kind of what I love doing is we're that outside perspective. I'm a homeowner. I have had so many people work on my house. I know exactly what I want to expect to see from someone in that. And I know how I search. So I'm using all this kind of back data to let them know, like, hey, we want to make sure that it's easy to schedule. We want to make sure that you're a reputable business. So are you getting reviews from your clients? Are you making their life easy? So if they do find you on the internet, do you have pricing available? Do you have a contact form? A lot of people in emergency situations will call, but there are other instances where it happened. Like we're at work, we're at our home offices. So during 9 to 5, we might have to shoot that out real quick to say, hey, I need someone to call me in a little bit to ask for this. But at the grand scheme of things, it's making sure that they're there in the right section, the right time when people are looking for it. And that really kind of comes down to making sure they have a website, they have that information on it, and they're showing the best about their business. So when they pop up in the maps, they have maybe not 5 stars, but they're not a 3-point something. They have quite a good handful of reviews. And the biggest thing I tell everybody to look at their business is type in your industry, type in either near me or your geo, city where you're at, and then look what everyone else has online. Like Your competition is the really only thing it comes down to when it comes down to marketing online is we have to do more and better work than what they're doing here locally. So if they have 100 reviews, but they're a 3.5, well, get to 100 reviews and be a 4 point something. You know, all these little things will really feed in because when you're in the emergency section or trades, home services, anything of that nature, people are usually reactive versus proactive. So they're going to make these decisions so quickly. If you do not have that information there, then it's just so hard for them to make the judgment and choose you. So I grew up, I did have the yellow pages, the white pages. My mom would pull that book out anytime I was like, hey,
Yep.
how do I find this? You know, she'd slap that huge book down. It used to be what, 5 inches
Yeah.
thick. Now it's, you know, it's really nothing with it, but it's the online yellow pages is exactly right what it is. But the better portion of it, it's all the little tidbits of information that yellow pages couldn't put into one teeny tiny line in their phone book. It's reviews, it's your photos, it's testimonials from clients. It's understanding exactly what services you do and will you come to my area and what does your pricing start at? All these things are really kind of what a lot of businesses are not sharing online. And so when they find you, they're not getting the answers. And so it's easy to go to the guy that's right below you who's giving them all these answers, all this good information, and they feel more confident because they have that info now. So I would say that's the biggest problem is just we're not putting as much as we need to online about our business to help people see what we do. So therefore we can get found and get those calls to come to us versus the guy below us or above us on the listings.
Yeah. And that's great because you said a word in there that I think is really, really important. And that's confidence. Because if my roof is leaking, I'm not looking just for somebody to fix that. I'm looking for somebody that I'm confident in. And I'm going to look at 2 or 3 and I'm going to look at reviews. And, you know, from my world, have you written the book on? We actually wrote a book for a guy. He runs a roofing company. He's the roof leak detective, right? And if I go to his website, if I've got a leak and I see that he wrote the book on it, guess who I'm calling first, right? But it's all of that. It's the confidence to say this is a reputable person.
Yep.
They, you know, I have. Do you do texting and do you make it easy, like you said earlier, for me to reach out and say I have a problem? Can you help me? Right? And then I guess it turns to the business owner side of if you're just a 1 or 2 man shop, are you going to answer your phone?
Yeah.
Because if my roof's leaking, I don't have time for you to call me back, right? So
exactly. And just like the book reference you had, I mean, what relates back into my business is blog posts and your service pages.
yes.
So you answering these questions on your website and you could gather all of these and make it in a book later. So
right.
Don't say that whatever you're writing online can't be reused for something better. But those are exactly trust factors. You are giving them, here's all of my knowledge. Here's all the years of experience I've done doing this thing, which to some people, they may not realize, but all these trades, they take time. You know, there's licensing, there is actual certifications that happen. So, you know, not all of them are created equal. Some are a lot harder than others, but being able to show your expertise and your experience and everything that you do in any written form online, whether book, blog post, all these things, these are confidence factors that build trust with anybody. So therefore they see it, they know this person isn't just a Joe Blow. They're not going to run away. You know, they're not going to take my money and run with it because you can see their website, you can see their books. Well, you can find them on Amazon, you know, like you can see a lot more about them to feel more comfortable. So when you call them, you feel that you're going to be taken care of. And that's why we still call 2 or 3 people. Maybe the salesperson comes and you don't like them, but you called 2 or 3 people that made you feel good. And now you can make a decision very quickly to fix whatever emergency situation you're in.
Yeah. And if you're a typical HVAC plumber, electrician, or whatever, and you're trying to make it in business, right? There's always 1 or 2 companies out there that are the big gorillas, right? They've been around forever. They do all the TV, all the billboard. How in the world do you compete against them? Well, you do it with a really crystal clear message and a lot of things, because sometimes people are scared of those big gorillas, right? And I want a smaller monkey. I don't know, bad analogy, but I want to go with somebody more local or something. And so you can help them in doing that and in making the website more, I would say, more personal, more friendly, more educational as well, right?
Yeah. And if you think about it, those guys, they're spending a lot of money. So what I tell all my contractors is usually they're spending this money because they don't have good client retention. So if you're a good business person, if you have these processes in place, you do good work and you have a follow-up system to keep these clients intact, you don't have to spend millions like these big guys do, because there are a lot of huge, plumbing and HVAC businesses in every city.
Oh yeah.
There are ways around it and you can work smarter. You don't have to work harder or spend all the big bucks. There's experts like you and I to talk to give you outside ways to still get clients that are searching in a different way.
That's right. That's right. Now I know you guys have written a brochure, a book, an ebook or something, 9 secrets or something like that. Tell us a little bit about that and where people can find that too.
Yep. So we wrote our own ebook. So we have the 9 strategies we would recommend for anybody in the home service field. So we do have ebooks for each specific industry, but this is kind of a good one to share with anybody, no matter if you are in carpentry, flooring, roofing, HVAC, plumbing. This book is really all about the things that you need to think of. So like we mentioned, reviews, your local side, your website, SEO, email marketing, all these different things that feed into your business to help you get clients and keep clients. We've condensed and put them all together in this one resource for you. So that's our way of showing you our knowledge, expertise, and what we've seen work for our clients that we've tested on them that we know can work for you. You just got to start to implement it. So it's a nice little free resource to see what are you doing, what are you not doing, and what do you need to do compared to this to make sure that you're not losing any gaps or any area of opportunities.
Awesome. Awesome. And we're going to have this in the show notes. It's onethingmarketing.net and then /trade-service-ebook. So it's pretty simple, but we're going to have it in the show notes because it'll be easier. But a little resource like that is great because like you just said, if there are 9 of them, a company might be doing 3 or 4, but here's some other ones and look at it and say, which one of these can I implement in the next month or so? And over time, you're going to be able to put yourself in a much better position, or just make it really super simple and reach out to Brittany and say, how do you help? And have conversations. Cause I know you also offer like a 30-minute free consultation with people just to say, here's where I am. Here's what's going on. What do you think? Right?
Yep. And I love to be the easiest person to talk to. So if you read that book or if you open it up and it is way too much already, there is a link to book a time to talk with me where 30 minutes, I'll audit everything you have. I will brainstorm with you. And if it's a good partnership where we can help you, then we'll be glad to. But if not, I want everybody to walk away with a couple ideas of what they need to do right now to make a huge difference in their industry. Once you complete those, we can talk about the next ones.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's one reason I wanted to bring you on, because I know your heart's in the right spot and you've really niched down, which I really appreciate from a marketing standpoint of saying, yes, we can help everybody, but we're going to focus on the trades because they are the lifeblood of everything and they're busy and you've got a lot to offer them. And I love how you just really niched it even down to primarily Google and all things Google around that, because that builds that trust and that confidence, and it's going to make the phone ring, which is what trades really need. It's funny because when I read that and talked to you, I thought, yeah, that's interesting. You get most of the time in our world, we talk about clicks on websites or downloads. But when you're in the trades, it probably is more so getting that phone to ring, right?
It is. And they're so quick to respond that that's really all it comes down to in the day for them. So that's where we want to focus our time too.
That's awesome. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate the time that you've given us. You're a great resource. Onethingmarketing.net is where you can find her and her team, and lots of great resources. Again, look in the show notes. You're going to have the link to that free ebook, or you can just book a call with Brittany and just talk with her about what's going on and how she can help you. Okay. So onethingmarketing.net is a great place to go. So Brittany, thanks again for your time. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.